The galaxy had long been ruled by mighty alien empires. The Zoreth Dominion, the Velkari Alliance, and the ancient Tulvex hierarchy had divided the universe among themselves, shaping history for thousands of years. To them, humanity was nothing. A weak, insignificant species from a small, unimportant planet called Earth. No one feared humans. No one respected them. And soon, no one even remembered them. The Council's arrogance. The Galactic High Council convened in the grand halls of Velcora Prime, a world so ancient that its cities stretched into the clouds. Ambassador Threx of the Zoreth stood tall, his scaled hands clasped behind his back. His golden eyes gleamed with amusement as he spoke. "The humans are finished," he said. "Their kind no longer matters in galactic affairs." The chamber erupted in laughter. The Velkari representative, a tall, insectoid being with shimmering wings, buzzed in agreement. "Yes, they have no fleets, no colonies, no power. Why should we even speak of them?" Even the Tulvex, the oldest and most mysterious species, nodded in approval. "They are nothing but forgotten dust," one of them rasped. And so, with a unanimous vote, humanity was officially erased from all records. The silent struggle. While the rest of the galaxy moved forward, humanity struggled to survive. After losing their colonies in a series of brutal wars, the remaining humans retreated to a hidden system at the edge of the known universe, Sol Prime. They had been driven to the brink of extinction. But they were not defeated. On the icy moon Titan, deep beneath the surface, the last remnants of human civilization gathered. Here, in secret, they built their future. The galaxy thought humanity was gone. They were wrong. A new hope. Commander Elias Carter stood on a viewing deck inside Titan Command, staring at the warship before him. It was unlike anything humanity had ever built. Sleek, fast, deadly. It had no official name, only a designation: TSS Defiance. For decades, humanity had worked in the shadows, salvaging technology, reverse engineering alien warships, and designing something the galaxy had never seen before. A ship that could stand against the impossible. A ship that could bring humanity back. Elias clenched his fists. "This is it," he murmured. "This is where we take back our place in the stars." The mission begins. The TSS Defiance was ready. Its mission: to prove that humanity was not gone. A distress signal had been intercepted from Outpost Zeta 4, a mining station in neutral space. A Velkari warfleet was moving to take control of the station, and no one was stopping them. The Council had ignored it. The galaxy didn't care. But humanity did. As the crew of the Defiance prepared for departure, Commander Carter stood before them. "For too long," he said, "they have forgotten us. For too long, they have laughed at us." He took a deep breath, his voice firm. "Let's remind them who we are." The engines roared to life, and the TSS Defiance vanished into the void. Humanity's return had begun. The TSS Defiance soared through the cold darkness of space, moving like a shadow among the stars. It was the most advanced warship humanity had ever built, fast, silent, and deadly. But compared to the mighty fleets of the galaxy, it was still just one ship. And yet, for the first time in decades, humanity was not running. They were going to fight. The enemy approaches. Outpost Zeta 4 was a small mining station orbiting a dead moon. It was home to a few thousand workers, most of them non-combatants. They had sent out a distress signal 2 days ago. No one had answered. Until now. A massive Velkari warfleet was closing in on the station. Their leader, Overlord Krextall, watched from the bridge of his command ship. The mining station had no defenses, no warships, and no hope. "This will be over quickly," he said, amused. But then, a single blip appeared on his scanners. A lone warship. He frowned. "Identify." His officers scrambled. Then one of them hesitated before answering. "My lord, it's human." Krextall laughed. "A human warship, here, alone." He bared his mandibles in amusement. Destroy it. The first strike. On the TSS Defiance, Commander Elias Carter stood on the bridge, watching the enemy fleet. There were 10 Valkyrie warships. His crew was nervous. The odds were impossible. But Carter smiled. "They don't know what we can do," he said. "Let's show them." The Defiance vanished. To the Valkyrie fleet, it was like the ship had simply disappeared. Overlord Krextal's eyes widened. Where did they? Boom! A Valkyrie destroyer erupted into flames. Panic spread through the enemy fleet. "What just happened?" one officer shouted. The Defiance reappeared behind another ship and unleashed a barrage of plasma fire. The Valkyrie vessel shattered under the impact. Within seconds, 2 warships were gone. Overlord Krextal staggered back. "This is impossible," he whispered. Fear spreads. For the first time, the Valkyrie were afraid. They had never seen a human warship move like this. It dodged every attack. It struck with perfect precision. And worst of all, it wasn't running. "This is no ordinary human ship," one officer stammered. Krextal clenched his fists. "Then we crush it with numbers." All remaining Valkyrie warships opened fire. A wall of plasma bolts filled space, engulfing the Defiance. But when the smoke cleared, the Defiance was untouched. Its experimental shield systems had absorbed the attack completely. Krextal's confidence shattered. "No," he muttered. Commander Carter's voice came over the comms. "You should have left us alone." And with that, the Defiance fired its main cannons. The Valkyrie fleet exploded in flames. A message to the galaxy. As the last Valkyrie ship fell silent, the Defiance's crew erupted in cheers. They had done it. They had won. But this was only the beginning. Commander Carter sent a broadcast to every major power in the galaxy. The message was simple. Humanity is back. And the universe would never be the same again. The destruction of the Valkyrie war fleet at Outpost Zeta 4 sent shockwaves across the galaxy. For centuries, humanity had been dismissed, weak, forgotten, irrelevant. Now, a single human warship had done the impossible. And the galaxy was watching. The High Council's emergency meeting. On the capital world of Valkora Prime, the Galactic High Council gathered in panic. The Zoreth Dominion, the Valkyrie Alliance, and the Tulvex hierarchy had all ignored humanity for decades. Now, they couldn't afford to. "This must be a trick," hissed Ambassador Threx of the Zoreth, his golden eyes narrowing. "A single human ship cannot destroy a warfleet." "The reports are clear," replied the Valkyrie representative, his wings twitching nervously. "Our fleet was annihilated. Their leader, Overlord Krextal, is dead." The chamber fell silent. It was unthinkable. A Valkyrie overlord, killed by humans. Chancellor Vrex of the Tolvex finally spoke, his ancient voice raspy. "This changes everything. The hunt begins. The ruling empires could not allow this to continue. A forgotten species had dared to fight back, and won. If humanity was not crushed now, they would become a threat." The Zoreth Dominion declared that the TSS Defiance was an enemy of the galaxy. The Valkyrie Alliance placed a bounty on the ship, offering a fortune to anyone who could capture or destroy it. And the Tolvex hierarchy, the oldest and most secretive empire, sent their most elite hunters into the void. The message was clear. The hunt for humanity had begun. A warning from the shadows. Deep in an asteroid belt, the TSS Defiance remained hidden, repairing damage from the battle. Commander Elias Carter stood on the bridge, watching the latest transmissions. The entire galaxy was now against them, but he felt no fear. "This was always going to happen," he muttered. "They were never going to let us return peacefully." Suddenly, an encrypted message arrived. The signal was old, human technology from decades ago. Carter's heart pounded as he played the message. A woman's voice came through, urgent and full of warning. "You are not alone. The lost fleets still exist. Seek us in the Obsidian Rift." The bridge crew exchanged shocked looks. The lost fleets. For years, rumors had whispered of human warships that vanished during the Great Wars, fleets that were never accounted for. If they were still out there, then humanity had more than just one warship. They had an entire armada waiting to rise. Carter's jaw tightened. "Set course for the Obsidian Rift," he ordered. If the galaxy wanted a war, then humanity would give them one. The TSS Defiance moved through the vast darkness of space, heading toward the Obsidian Rift, a sector long considered cursed and unreachable. No empire controlled it. No fleet patrolled it. Ships that entered never returned. And yet, the encrypted message had led them here. Commander Elias Carter stood on the bridge, staring at the swirling vortex ahead. "If the lost fleets are real," he murmured, "we're about to find them. Or die trying." The ghosts of war. The Obsidian Rift was a graveyard. As the Defiance pushed deeper inside, wreckage drifted in all directions, broken hulls of forgotten warships, shattered remains of battles long past. It was eerily silent. Then, a signal appeared. Weak, hidden, human. Carter's heart pounded. Follow it. The ship moved through the debris field, navigating past centuries-old wrecks. Then, through the darkness, they saw them. Hundreds of warships. Silent, still, waiting. And then, they came to life. A forgotten army awakens. One by one, the lost warships powered up. Engines hummed, weapons charged, and a voice came over the comms. "Identify yourself." Carter took a breath. "This is Commander Elias Carter of the TSS Defiance." He paused. "We received your message." There was silence. Then, a massive warship moved forward, bigger than anything Carter had ever seen. It was ancient, from humanity's golden age, and at its helm stood a legend long thought dead. Admiral Jonathan Hale. His face appeared on the screen, aged but fierce. "I never thought I'd see another human warship in my lifetime," Hale said, his voice heavy with emotion. "We have waited in the dark for decades." He leaned forward. "Tell me, Commander, does Earth still stand?" Carter met his gaze. "Yes." For a long moment, Hale said nothing. Then, his lips curled into a grim smile. "Then it's time. Time for humanity to rise again." The lost fleets had returned, and the galaxy was about to learn what that truly meant. The TSS Defiance hovered in formation with the lost fleets, surrounded by the last remnants of humanity's once great war machine. Admiral Jonathan Hale stood on the command deck of his massive dreadnought, TSS Titan, watching the younger officer before him. Commander Elias Carter had brought news that changed everything. Humanity was no longer forgotten. They were hunted. And if they did nothing, the galaxy would erase them forever. But Hale had waited too long in the dark to let that happen. A plan for war. Inside the war room of the Titan, the remaining human commanders gathered. Once, they had led entire fleets. Now, they commanded only shadows. But even shadows could strike fear into the mighty. Carter laid out the situation. "The Galactic High Council has declared us a threat. Every major empire is hunting us." His voice was firm. "If we stay here, we die." Admiral Hale nodded. "Then we take the fight to them." Murmurs filled the room. They were outnumbered, outgunned. But Hale had one advantage, one that the enemy could never predict. The galaxy thought humanity was weak. They didn't know the truth. Humanity had been preparing for war. The first target, the Council's supply lines. "Before we strike at their fleets, we cut their supply chains," Hale explained, pointing at a holographic map. The Valkyrie Alliance, the Zorath Dominion, and the Tulvex hierarchy depended on massive fuel depots and shipyards to maintain control. Without them, their fleets would be vulnerable. "Our first target," Carter said, "is Velcora Station, a major supply hub for the High Council's war fleets." It was lightly defended, deep inside neutral space. The perfect place to send a message. The message: humanity had returned. A fleet in motion. For the first time in decades, the lost fleets moved as one. The TSS Titan led the charge, flanked by battle-worn warships, ships that had once ruled the stars. The TSS Defiance took point, scouting ahead. Their mission was simple: strike first, strike hard, leave nothing standing. As the fleet entered hyperspace, Carter turned to Hale. "What if this doesn't work?" Hale's expression was unreadable. "Then we make sure the galaxy never forgets our name again." The attack begins. Velcora Station floated in the void, its crew unaware of what was coming. They expected trade ships, maybe a patrol fleet. They did not expect human warships. When the TSS Defiance dropped out of hyperspace, the station's sensors barely had time to react before the first shots were fired. Velcora's defenses cracked in minutes. The lost fleets descended like predators, tearing through the unprepared station. Explosions lit up the void. Within an hour, Velcora Station was reduced to rubble. But the most important part wasn't the destruction. It was the message they left behind. A single transmission sent across the galaxy. A simple warning: we are still here. The universe had mocked humanity. Now it would fear them. The destruction of Velcora Station sent shockwaves through the galactic powers. For centuries, humanity had been ignored, laughed at, forgotten. Now, a single strike had shattered that illusion. A station vital to the Galactic High Council's war effort had been reduced to rubble by human hands, and the entire galaxy was afraid. Panic in the High Council. On Valkyrie Prime, the High Council held an emergency meeting. The room was filled with fear and anger. "This is an act of war," roared Overlord Thrax, slamming his fist onto the table. "How did we let this happen? They were supposed to be extinct, scattered," hissed Ambassador Xilvek of the Zorath Dominion. "Now they are attacking our infrastructure." Chancellor Vrex of the Tolvex hierarchy narrowed his glowing yellow eyes. "This was no act of desperation," he muttered. "This was a warning." The room fell silent. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were choosing their battles and winning. Bounties and betrayals. The High Council declared a galactic-wide bounty on all human warships. Mercenaries, bounty hunters, and rogue fleets all rushed to claim the reward. But something unexpected happened. Not everyone wanted to fight the humans. Some species, long oppressed by the Council, saw a chance. The humans were fighting against the same empires that had enslaved and conquered worlds for centuries. Whispers of rebellion began spreading across the galaxy. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galactic order was cracking. The enemy strikes back. The High Council could not let humanity grow stronger. They needed to crush the lost fleets now. A massive fleet, led by Grand Marshal Korak of the Valkyrie, was dispatched. 500 warships, enough firepower to wipe out planets. Their mission: find the humans, destroy them completely. And they had a lead. A spy had leaked the last known location of the TSS Defiance. The trap was set. Now, they just needed the humans to take the bait. A dangerous choice. Aboard the TSS Titan, Admiral Jonathan Hale and Commander Elias Carter reviewed the intelligence reports. "The Council is sending everything they have," Carter said. "They're not taking any chances." Hale stared at the star map. He had expected a counterattack. But this was an extermination force. "We can't face them head-on," Hale said. "Not yet." Carter exhaled. "Then what do we do?" Hale's eyes burned with determination. "We set our own trap." He turned to his officers. "Send out false intel. Let them think we're retreating to the Ebon Expanse." The Ebon Expanse, a nebula filled with ion storms, gravitational anomalies, and asteroid fields. A death trap for any fleet that wasn't prepared. "If they want to hunt us," Hale said, "we'll make sure it's the last mistake they ever make." Carter grinned. Let's make them regret ever underestimating humanity. The stage was set. The greatest battle of the new war was about to begin. The ebon expanse was a graveyard waiting to happen. Swirling ion storms crackled like caged lightning. Gravitational rifts twisted reality, pulling apart anything caught in their grasp. Only a fool or a desperate fleet would enter. And yet, the Valkyrie War Armada arrived in force. 500 warships. Enough firepower to end humanity forever. Grand Marshal Korak stood on the bridge of his dreadnought, sneering at the storm-filled void before him. The humans think they can hide here, he growled. We will burn them from existence. The silent shadows. But humanity was not hiding. They were waiting. Aboard the TSS Titan, Admiral Jonathan Hale watched the enemy fleet crawl into the expanse, unaware of the danger surrounding them. They don't know the expanse like we do, he murmured. For years, the lost fleets had studied the expanse. Every gravitational trap, every hidden storm, every blind spot. And now, they would use it as their weapon. He turned to Carter. Begin the operation. A ghostly attack. The Valkyrie fleet advanced cautiously. They expected resistance. They expected a last stand. Instead, they got silence. No human ships in sight. Just storms and broken space. Then, it began. Without warning, a Valkyrie battleship was ripped apart, not by enemy fire, but by an unseen force. Sir, a panicked officer shouted, we lost the Vectol. It was pulled into a... Before he could finish, another ship vanished, dragged into an invisible gravity well. Then, through the storm, human warships emerged. Fast, precise, ruthless. The TSS Defiance struck first, firing a wave of torpedoes into the heart of the Valkyrie formation. Explosions ripped through the fleet, sending fire and debris into the void. The TSS Titan followed, unleashing a storm of railgun fire that shredded through enemy shields. The Valkyrie had walked into a trap, and now they were dying. The Grand Marshal falls. On the Valkyrie dreadnought, Grand Marshal Korak watched in horror. This wasn't a battle. This was a slaughter. His fleet couldn't maneuver, couldn't fight back. Every attempt to retreat only led them deeper into death. Impossible, he whispered. They're just humans. Then, his ship shuddered. The TSS Defiance had locked onto him. Carter's voice came over an open channel. This is for every human you thought was beneath you. A torpedo salvo struck the Valkyrie dreadnought's core. The explosion erased Korak and his flagship from existence. The Valkyrie war machine was broken. The battle was over. Humanity had won. A new era begins. As the wreckage of the enemy fleet drifted in the void, the lost fleets regrouped. They had done the impossible. The greatest war fleet in the galaxy had been lured, trapped, and annihilated. And the galaxy had witnessed it all. News of the battle spread like wildfire. The illusion of alien supremacy was shattered. For the first time in centuries, the empires of the High Council feared humanity. And for the first time in history, humanity was no longer just surviving. They were fighting back. Carter looked at Hale. What now? The Admiral's gaze was steel. Now, he exhaled. Now we show them that the universe no longer belongs to them. He turned to the fleet. It belongs to us.